Climate change is one of the most pressing challenges of our era, affecting every corner of the globe. Yet its impacts are not felt equally. Women, especially those in poorer communities, often bear the brunt of climate-related disasters, while also being systematically excluded from decision-making processes. This video explores how climate change intersects with human rights, security, and economic development, focusing on the unique challenges and opportunities for women. As we journey through this topic, we'll see not only the vulnerabilities women face, but also their agency and leadership in building resilient communities and driving innovative solutions. Behind this comprehensive report are dedicated authors and expert advisors who have contributed their knowledge and guidance. Miesha Lam, Rukmani Baisha, and Brianna Mobby led the research, supported by a network of reviewers and consultants from organizations like the Mary Robinson Foundation, IUCN, and the World Bank. Their collective expertise ensures the report's depth and practical relevance. This collaborative approach highlights the importance of diverse perspectives in addressing complex issues like climate change, especially when considering its gendered impacts. Creation of this report was made possible by the invaluable support and feedback from a wide array of individuals and organizations. From external reviewers to consultants at USAID, UNDP, and UN Women, each played a vital role in shaping the research and recommendations. This broad base of support underscores the collaborative spirit needed to tackle global challenges like climate change, ensuring that solutions are informed by a range of experiences and expertise. Published by the Georgetown Institute for Women, Peace, and Security, this report brings together interdisciplinary research to address the intersection of women and climate change. It draws on international conventions, national action plans, and consultations with experts worldwide. The goal is to fill critical knowledge gaps and provide actionable recommendations for policymakers, practitioners, and advocates working at all levels. The report is structured to guide readers through the complexities of climate change and its gendered impacts. It begins with an executive summary, followed by an introduction that sets the context. The main sections cover the manifestations of climate change, international and national responses, and conclude with recommendations for various stakeholders. This logical flow ensures a comprehensive understanding of both the challenges and the pathways forward. Navigate the landscape of climate change policy and action. It's important to understand the key acronyms used throughout the report. Terms like UNFCCC, SDGs, and REDD+ represent international frameworks and initiatives that shape global responses. Familiarity with these acronyms helps readers engage more deeply with the material and appreciate the interconnectedness of various efforts. Foreword written by Ambassador Melanie Verveer sets a powerful tone. She emphasizes that climate change is not just an environmental issue, but a challenge to human rights, security, and economic development. The impacts droughts, floods, disease, and food insecurity hit the world's poor hardest, most of whom are women. Yet women are often excluded from decision-making. The foreword calls for women's voices and leadership at all levels, highlighting their essential role in building resilient communities and shaping effective climate policies. Climate change is a universal challenge, but its burdens are not shared equally. Women, especially in conflict-affected and less developed regions, face distinct and often greater risks. This report arrives at a crucial moment as the world prepares for new commitments in international negotiations. It highlights both the impacts and the agency of women, mapping successful solutions and offering recommendations for a wide audience. The executive summary sets the stage for a deeper exploration of gendered vulnerabilities and the transformative potential of women's leadership. Around the world, women are often marginalized from political and economic power, with limited access to resources. This is especially true in conflict-affected or less developed settings, where climate change can deepen existing vulnerabilities. The report underscores the need to put women's experiences and leadership at the center of climate action, ensuring that solutions are both effective and equitable. Climate change is more than an environmental issue. It's a threat to global peace, security, and prosperity. Despite this, much of the policy focus remains on science and economics, often overlooking the human rights and gender dimensions. Women, who make up half the world's population, experience severe impacts without equal representation in decision-making. The introduction frames climate change as a multidimensional challenge that demands inclusive, gender-sensitive solutions. Impacts of climate change are not gender-neutral. Women and men are shaped by societal roles, which influence their access to resources and information, as well as their experiences during disasters. Women, particularly in marginalized communities, often have less access to financial and material resources, increasing their vulnerability. However, these challenges also present opportunities to empower women and promote gender equality through climate action. While women often face disproportionate burdens from climate change, they are not merely victims. Across the globe, women are adapting to new realities, caring for families, and leading innovative solutions. Their knowledge, skills, and ideas are crucial in combating climate change. Yet a gap remains between those most affected and those in positions of power. Bridging this gap is essential for effective and inclusive climate policies. Urgency of addressing climate change has never been greater. It undermines human rights, especially for those on the front lines who have contributed least to the problem. Climate justice links human rights and development, emphasizing the need to safeguard the most vulnerable. This year marks significant anniversaries in gender equality and development, providing a unique opportunity to integrate women's needs and leadership into global climate action. International frameworks like the Beijing Platform for Action, the Sustainable Development Goals, and the Women, Peace, and Security resolutions offer valuable guidance for integrating gender perspectives into climate policy. These frameworks emphasize women's participation, rights, and leadership, providing a foundation for more inclusive and effective climate solutions. COP21 negotiations in Paris represent a historic opportunity to place women at the center of climate action. Delegates have the chance to recognize women's unique experiences and capabilities, building on past progress and ensuring that women are stakeholders and decision makers in mitigation and adaptation efforts. This moment calls for bold steps to support women's involvement at all levels. United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change defines climate change as a change in climate attributed directly or indirectly to human activity, in addition to natural variability. This process manifests in rising temperatures, changing rainfall patterns, extreme weather, and melting glaciers, all of which threat communities worldwide. Understanding these dynamics is key to crafting effective responses. Climate change is fundamentally a human rights issue. It threatens the dignity and well-being of individuals, especially the most vulnerable. International agreements like CDAW and the Beijing Platform for Action provide frameworks for protecting women from climate-related harms and advancing gender equality. Ensuring women's rights is not just a moral imperative, but a strategic approach to building resilient societies. Climate change can deepen social tensions and undermine peace. It has the potential to exacerbate conflicts over resources and increase political instability, especially in regions already facing challenges. Women are often among the most vulnerable in these situations, excluded from decision-making and exposed to greater risks. Addressing climate change as a security threat requires a focus on human security and the inclusion of women's perspective. Economic impacts of climate change are profound, especially for the world's poorest. Women make up a significant portion of the agricultural workforce, particularly in Africa, and are heavily affected by declining crop yields and resource scarcity. Climate change can trap women in cycles of poverty, limiting their opportunities and increasing their vulnerability. Addressing these challenges requires targeted policies that empower women economically. Empowering women economically is one of the most effective ways to improve human development indicators. Research shows that women invest a larger share of their income in their families, leading to better outcomes for children and communities. Capacity-building initiatives that enhance women's knowledge and leadership can drive social change and foster economic growth, breaking cycles of poverty and vulnerability. Climate change manifests in both rapid onset events like floods and storms and slow onset processes such as drought and desertification. These impacts are interrelated, creating cycles of vulnerability especially for women. The report examines how women are distinctly affected by these changes and highlights their leadership in adaptation and mitigation efforts. Rising sea levels, driven by thermal expansion and melting glaciers, threat coastal communities worldwide. The impacts include salinization of soil, reduced crop yields, and loss of drinking water. Women, who are often responsible for food production and water collection, face increased burdens as these resources become scarce. In places like Senegal, women are leading efforts to adapt, such as building anti-salt dikes to reclaim farmland. Flooding is becoming more frequent and severe due to climate change, affecting millions of people each year. Women often face unique challenges during and after floods, including loss of shelter, health risks, and increased exposure to violence. Programs in places like Bangladesh and India are working to engage women in developing flood-resilient farming techniques and community adaptation strategies. After floods, women often become the backbone of recovery efforts despite facing significant hardships. They may lose their homes, face health issues from inadequate sanitation, and experience increased harassment or violence. Yet women's groups and NGOs are empowering women to lead adaptation efforts, train others in climate-resilient practices, and advocate for their needs in disaster response planning. Deforestation, driven by land use change and resource extraction, threatens the livelihoods of millions, especially women who rely on forests for food, fuel, and medicine. As forests disappear, women must travel farther to gather resources, increasing their workload and vulnerability. Programs like Kenya's Green Belt movement show how women can lead reforestation efforts, improving both environmental and economic outcomes. Men are at the forefront of innovative solutions to deforestation. In Kenya, the Green Belt movement has planted millions of trees, providing income and improving food and water security. In the Democratic Republic of Congo and Mali, women's cooperatives are promoting reforestation, environmental education, and alternative livelihoods. These efforts not only combat climate change but also empower women and strengthen communities. Ocean acidification, caused by increased CO2 emissions, threatens coral reefs and fisheries that support millions of people. As marine resources decline, women, often responsible for securing food, must find new ways to provide for their families. The loss of reefs also impacts tourism and local economies, underscoring the need for gender-sensitive adaptation strategies in coastal communities. Climate change is intensifying water scarcity worldwide, leading to droughts and desertification. Women, who make up a large share of the agricultural workforce, must adapt to these changes, often taking on additional responsibilities as men migrate in search of work. Water scarcity not only threatens food production but also increases the burden on women to secure water for their families. As droughts become more frequent, women in rural areas often become heads of households, managing farms and families with limited resources. Discriminatory laws and customs can further restrict their access to land and assets. These challenges highlight the importance of supporting women's rights and access to resources in climate adaptation strategies. Many communities, women and girls are responsible for collecting water, often spending hours each day on this task. This not only limits their opportunities for education and paid work but also exposes them to risks of violence. Improving access to clean water can free up time for women and girls, enhance their safety, and unlock their potential for economic and social participation. Innovative solutions are making a difference in water-scarce communities. For example, the drinkable book uses treated paper to filter bacteria from water, providing a simple and affordable way to improve water quality. Other initiatives like P&G's water purification sachets have delivered billions of liters of clean water to families in need. These technologies are especially important for women, who bear the primary responsibility for water collection and family health. Access to modern sanitation remains limited in many developing countries, particularly among the urban and rural poor. Water scarcity compromises hygiene, especially for women and girls during pregnancy and menstruation. Improving sanitation facilities and access to clean water is critical for health, dignity, and gender equality. Climate change is driving migration and displacement, with women and children making up the majority of those affected. Displacement can increase vulnerability to violence, disrupt livelihoods, and strain social support systems. Addressing the needs of displaced women requires targeted policies and support services. Access to affordable and reliable energy is a major challenge for many families, particularly in rural areas. Women are often responsible for securing fuel, which can be time-consuming and hazardous. Initiatives like Grameen Shakti in Bangladesh are training women as solar engineers, providing clean energy and new economic opportunities. Climate finance mechanisms such as the Green Climate Fund and REDD Plus play a crucial role in supporting adaptation and mitigation efforts. Ensuring that women have access to these resources and are involved in decision-making is essential for equitable and effective climate action. Mobilizing the international community is key to addressing climate change. Women's participation in global negotiations such as COP21 ensures that their perspectives and needs are represented. Strengthening national capacity and fostering cross-sector collaboration can drive progress toward gender-sensitive climate solutions. Countries are developing climate change gender action plans to integrate gender perspectives into national policies. These plans recognize the unique vulnerabilities and strengths of women, aiming to create more inclusive and effective climate strategies. National commitments are a vital step toward achieving gender equality in climate action. The private sector has a significant role to play in promoting environmentally friendly business practices and supporting women's empowerment. Corporate social responsibility initiatives can drive innovation, create jobs, and foster sustainable development, benefiting both women and the broader community. Non-governmental organizations are vital partners in climate action, often working directly with women at the community level. NGOs provide training, resources, and advocacy, helping women build resilience and lead adaptation efforts. Their grassroots approach ensures that solutions are tailored to local needs and realities. Sharing lessons learned and exchanging ideas across borders and within countries is essential for effective climate action. Women's experiences and innovations offer valuable insights that can inform policies and programs, helping to avoid repeating mistakes and build on successes. International organizations are encouraged to prioritize gender-sensitive reforms in climate policies and programs. This includes ensuring women's participation in decision-making, supporting research on gendered impacts, and facilitating access to resources for women-led initiatives. Collaboration across sectors and levels is key to driving meaningful change. National governments should integrate gender perspectives into climate policies, support women's access to land and resources, and invest in capacity building. Legal reforms and targeted programs can help remove barriers and empower women to lead adaptation and mitigation efforts at all levels. The private sector can drive progress by adopting sustainable business practices, investing in women's leadership, and supporting innovation. Companies have the resources and influence to create positive change, from clean energy solutions to inclusive supply chains that benefit women and communities. NGOs should continue to empower women at the grassroots level, providing training, resources, and advocacy. Their close connection to communities enables them to identify needs, support local leadership, and drive sustainable change. Partnerships with governments and the private sector can amplify their impact. As the world confronts the multidimensional effects of climate change, it is clear that women's voices, perspectives, and leadership are not optional, they are essential. By recognizing women's agency and addressing gendered vulnerabilities, we can build more resilient communities and create a more just and sustainable future for all. The path forward requires collaboration, innovation, and a steadfast commitment to gender equality in climate action.